All right, well, welcome everyone to the July 20th edition of the North Tabor Neighborhood Association meeting. And I guess we begin with a call to order and then introductions for anyone who's new. I recognize most of our faces. I'm not sure if I know Jim or Sheila yet. Maybe other folks do, but if you want to say hello or introduce yourself, you may.
You'll have to unmute to do it.
We could go around and introduce ourselves on their behalf.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, my name's CJ. I'm one of the co-chairs. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a social worker. And here's Greg.
I'm Greg Scott. I'm the other co-chair. I live over on 45th and Burnside.
Hey, I'm Sheila. I am new to the area and I just figured I'd pop in and see what this meeting was all about.
I'm Robert Jordan. I was a chairperson in the past. Now I'm an emeritus chair, I guess. And I've lived in the neighborhood since 2003. I live at 57th and Everett, so right along the bike path.
I'm Stephanie Kaza. I've been the Southeast Uplift representative and I live 53rd and Cooch.
I'm Patty LeCaff, and I live at 56th and Northeast Flanders, and I am presently the treasurer of our group.
And I'm Lisa Maddox. I am the Land Use and Transportation Committee person. And I live at 48th and Burnside. I've lived here for 40 years and I grew up over on 57th and Hancock. So I have been in the neighborhood a long time.
Hi, I'm Keith. I'm the live at 60th and Hoyt. Been in the neighborhood for about 5 years. I am the communications coordinator for the board and the driver of the Zoom meeting.
And Suzanne, we're just, oh, you're already caught on. We're doing intros.
I wasn't sure where you were in the list. I'm Suzanne Gardner. I live on 62nd in Oregon, and I've been in the neighborhood for about 35 years. I'm just a member at large.
And
Great.
May I ask, do we have a quorum? What does it require for us to, are we at quorum?
Good.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suzanne's on the board, right?
Yeah.
So there's, I think, 8 of us, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Okay.
7, 8. Yeah, we're good.
Perfect. Okay, thanks.
And then Jim, did you introduce yourself? Or you might have stepped away. And if you did, that's fine. You're probably making dinner. We can just be in the background. Oh,
I'm here. I'm new to the neighborhood, 70th and Everett. I've been here about a year, so I just popped in to see what it's all about myself.
Welcome, Jim.
So,
CJ freeze?
oh, he did.
All right. Well, good thing you have a co-chair here. All right. Well, in lieu of CJ disappearing for a moment, let's take a look. We're waiting on.
I see him.
Yeah, he's there, but he's frozen. Our first agenda item actually has to do with the 64th and Burnside project, and I think we're waiting for a guest speaker for that. So why don't we just sit tight for a second? And
We could approve the meeting, June meeting minutes if you want.
Yeah, why don't we skip ahead to that? Has everybody reviewed the June minutes? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the June minutes?
I'll move.
Robert, I think you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Robert.
I will move, I'll make the motion to approve the June minutes.
All right.
Okay, and I'll second.
And all right. The motion is to approve the June minutes. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Any one abstaining? The June minutes are unanimously approved. All right. We can skip ahead to the treasurer's report. Why don't we go ahead and do that? Patty? And you're on mute.
The treasurer's trying to find a screenshot she just made on her new phone. So we cashed a check for $50 that was written for the DOJ. And they for some reason charged us $6 service charge. I'm not sure what's going on, but at this point, with that $6 service charge, we have $3,033.98 in the bank. So I'll go try to talk to somebody about why we're getting charged a service charge now. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Was that the bank that charged that? And maybe she didn't hear me.
Oh, you're
Yes,
back on mute,
Robert.
Patty.
Yes, Robert, that was the bank. And I'll go find somebody to talk to about that. Okay.
All right. Moving right along, flying right along here.
Yeah.
Land use and transportation, I think that meeting was canceled. Is that
Yeah,
right?
July and August have both been canceled. I'm not really sure. I know the last chairperson or whatever left. And so Leah's got a lot on her plate, and I just think it's too much right now for her to deal with, and people are on vacation and stuff. So yeah, nothing to report. Sorry.
Got it, no problem. And just to be sure, Keith, no one's sitting in the waiting room?
No, no one there. CJ may have had to reboot or something.
Sure. Also wanted to make sure the person showing up for the 64th and Burnside project discussion isn't sitting there. All right, well, we've got one more item we can burn time with, the communications update. Keith, do you have anything on that?
I don't think there's too much to report. The only thing I've noticed is we've gotten a few emails from people to some of the board addresses that have been going into my spam folder, and I don't know if that's been happening the same for everyone. There were some in there that were legitimate spam. Those ones that try to trick you into signing up for a service and paying them $475 or whatever it is. But then there were other ones that were people who actually had real questions about the neighborhood. And so I want to make sure that we see them. We had, what was the other one? There was one here from Tony Rothenfluke, who wanted to open a liquor store in the area. There were a couple others that I didn't see, and they were just reaching out to us to see if we had any input, was basically the idea. And I don't know if it's anything we if it'd be worth having them just stop in and for a meeting, or to a meeting, or what.
Well, and I responded to Maria or Dozero, talking about the Providence parking. And I let her know that I was on the transportation group for them, and that I would forward her information. I gave her the phone number for that, and I will find out. We haven't been having meetings, so I'll find out if I can forward the information to our chairperson there. So that's who I responded to. You see her name there, Keith?
Oh, yeah. Maria,
Riya.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like I just found the emails from Tony in my spam as well. So we'll
I
take a
thought
look at those.
I think Robert and I were thinking about meeting with Tony, even though he's actually in the Montevilla neighborhood. We thought we might reach out to him and just chat with him anyway, because we walk that way all the time.
Do we have a phone number for the gentleman about the 64th and Burnside project? We could ping him to see where he is.
I'll see if I have a phone number. I don't think I do.
Okay.
Since we're sort of filling time, some of you saw reference to a project on Northeast Everett. They're going to be putting speed bumps between 47th and 60th. Because I live on Everett, I got the notice from PBOT. Sometime in August is when the contractor is supposed to start working. There'll be temporary parking removal requested block by block. And I'm pretty sure I see there's white markings in the street about every block or two. And I think that's where the speed bumps are going to go. I had sent an email to the person in charge asking about maybe putting some of the speed bumps on the cross streets, because some of us at least think that's where the problem is, people cutting between Gleason and Burnside. And he explained to me that the current project was funded by a Fixing Our Streets program that was a voter bond some time back. And so this is what it is, but that he gave me some information about maybe getting re-involved with a program that is, I guess, moribund right now, but Commissioner Hardesty is the PBOT person. So maybe sometime in the future, the land use people and our committee might re-engage with, at least write a letter to Commissioner Hardesty, getting us involved with some of these neighborhood projects.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit like a waste of effort to be putting speed bumps on a street that has a stop sign every 2 blocks, but I am, I'm not in charge of deciding where they go.
Yeah, well, the stop
I
sign's
think
another
it's-
issue.
Yeah, see, I think
Go
it's
ahead.
worth answering back. I think I wouldn't drop the conversation. That was I thought his response to you was a very bureaucratic response, like, well, our funds are for
of course.
greenways and so his idea of a greenway is the street that has the bike share on it. But the user's experience of the greenway includes the stop signs, it includes the cross traffic. And I think we could make a case, if that's what the funds are for, is let's actually use them well. I sometimes if you just push back a little bit more, you get a little more attention, or at least get him to come out or somebody before they start digging up the street. Because I think you've made a better analysis. And so it's just kind of, I don't know, waste of taxpayers' money, if you ask me. But anyway, that's my suggestion, if you're up for it, is to push back a little bit.
I
Well,
wonder
I can re-email him, just, between him and me, to get some more detail about it. If the work is going to start in August, I mean, it's way too late to, stop it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the speed bumps on Everett. It's fine. And there are some stretches between 47th and 53rd. I don't think there's maybe there's one stop sign. There are places where you can get going fast, although I haven't noticed by my house much speeding on Everett. I see it down 57th. Because that's the cross street. But anyway, it's a good point, Stephanie. So I'll re-engage with him a little bit.
I wonder about
Well, also, yeah, the bike path doesn't go on Everett between 47th and 53rd. It's on Davis. So if it's supposed to be only on bike paths, then that's a question.
No, it's not on Davis. It's on Everett. It's on Everett all the way from my house down Everett all the way to 47th.
Yeah, I think it jumps from Davis to Everett at 47th.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 47th going west, then it's on Davis, I think. Yeah, pretty sure. And it's on Davis.
No,
it's on Davis east of
right.
58th as well, but between 58th and 47th, it's on Everett.
Yeah. So I wonder about the biking experience with all the speed bumps. I mean, I realize that having biked over lots of speed bumps, they don't slow you down as much as you would think they do. But I see a lot of people hitting the brakes because they think it's going to be a worse bump than it is.
Yeah, some speed bumps have a gap, which I think is more for fire trucks than it is for bicycles. But if they have a gap, a bicyclist can just kind of go right through the gap.
Yeah.
without
And I don't know if they'll be putting the gaps in because you're right. Those are, my understanding is the same as yours, that those are designed for emergency vehicles to be able to kind of sneak through them. And, obviously bicyclists use it too, but whether they will put them on whether they will include those in the bumps on Everett, which isn't a major emergency vehicle route, I don't know.
It'd be doubtful. Yeah.
Find out.
I just got a hold of Ben. He's going to zoom in a minute as soon as he can.
Good.
Great.
While we're waiting for that, I had another question. I know I saw Kim was looking for updates for the Southeast Examiner, and I wondered if we've had anything come up about National Night Out, or if we know if anything is happening in any of the areas for that.
I haven't seen anything, although I wouldn't necessarily see something, and that's normally in August, which would be like in a few weeks. And back in the day, pre-pandemic, people were planning for this like in April and May, and getting your orders for street barriers and all that kind of thing. So I cannot really imagine there's going to be anything official sponsored by the city. Now, that doesn't prevent a group of neighbors from go ahead and having a little block party. But yeah, I don't think there's any announcements. I haven't seen any announcements of anything official.
They may not be wanting to encourage crowds,
Yeah.
just generically.
So is that Ben who's joined us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good.
Hi. Well, then I think we should probably move along, and I'd like to hear more about this development. Yeah, so start anytime, Ben.
Okay. Well, if you guys have seen the development notice, we're going to be doing some townhouses. So I basically just can field any questions anybody has. If anybody wants to know anything more about it, that's what we're going to do. There'll be forward motion in and out on site, nobody backing out into Burnside or anything like that. There'll be room for everybody to turn around. Going to be on-site parking. Everybody will have a parking garage and an additional parking space. And that's basically the plan from here. If he's got questions, they can fire away.
I think I saw I think I had seen a schematic of the layout and how many units there are. Do you have a copy of that you could screen share? Because I think a lot of people probably haven't seen it. And a lot of people may not even exactly know where we're talking about. I've walked past the property a number of times.
I don't have it on me. I'm still at a job site right now. So yeah, if I was at my computer, the plan is to be home in time, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
What is the address?
The address is 6401 East Burnside.
Okay.
And how many units is it planned
Right
for?
now,
Yeah.
well, what we proposed is 20 units, 20 townhouses.
Okay.
So
And that's in 3 separate buildings, is that correct?
that'd be 4 buildings, 4 5-plexes.
Okay. And Ben, those trees that are at the back of the lot that almost down to the bottom of 61st, I think it is, are those trees going to stay? The ones that are at the north end of your lot?
We'll keep what trees we can. We don't know exactly yet what'll be staying and what'll be going. We do have some larger setbacks in some areas. We've got some turnarounds that we have to put in. So it's just going to depend on how that works out. With what we proposed, it's going to be kind of tight to keep some of those. I mean, definitely some of the trees will be coming down. but I don't know exactly specifically which ones. We've got some pretty, we have tenants in there now, so they're, I've only allowed on site ever so often. So outside of our surveyors getting there and getting that done.
So that's 5 units per building, correct?
That's right.
Uh-huh.
And what is your proposed or hoped for start time and finish time and all of that sort of thing?
We're hoping to break ground this year. I don't know that that's going to happen. City's moving pretty slow with the permits. So we may not be starting till early next year, and it'll probably be about a 7-month process to build them out.
Wow, it's fast.
I'm not sure who's sharing the screen, but people can see that it's this very large, unusual lot that goes deep into this kind of supersized block.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got this. I'm running the screen share. Just wanted to bring it up on the map so everyone could see where we're talking about.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's a huge lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big are the units going to be? The townhouses.
What's that?
How big are they going to be? The townhouses.
They'll be about 1,000 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and then a garage as well.
Ben, I've
Wow.
looked at the drawing, and they do look like they're going to be very inclusive, meaning everybody's going to have their own space. They won't be parking on the street, thank goodness, because Burnside's a pain. So it looks like a very nice design to me.
Yeah, it's a design I've done before, and I am a big proponent of doing on-site parking and giving people a place to park. When I was just graduated college, I lived in Northwest and in an apartment building, and it would take me a half an hour to find a place to park. So I don't like that, and I know what it's like to be living in those areas that, apartment buildings are popping up with 100 units and no on-site parking. So
Right.
Good for you. That's definitely bravo.
Do you have something that you've put together before that's fairly similar that we could look at? That's already built maybe, or?
yeah, I do. It's going to be in St. John's, the one that looks most like this. I have some in St. John's and also some that a fellow builder of mine built that I work with. And those are on Washington Street towards Montevilla, actually pretty close to the Burnside property.
Oh, yeah, I know those. I know
Yeah.
there's several new developments that are on the south side of Washington Street, in the apartment house or two.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Couple of them.
Like the ones
Yeah.
kind of back behind Flying Pie? That part?
Yes.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
tool rental?
Yeah, a little bit west of that. But yeah, right by there, right before Washington and Stark turn into Thorburn.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
that's those units are very similar. And there's 10 units. There's 2 5-plexes facing each other. It's very similar to what we'll be doing. Just we'll be going twice as deep because the lot is really deep.
Is this the one here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have any idea what these will be selling for?
I don't. We're not sure yet if we're gonna use the SDC credits. When we do the permits, which means we have a max sale, which right now is 412,000, and that's what that would be if we go the SDC credit route, which we probably will. So that would mean our max sale price is 412. People who don't qualify for the credit, meaning that they make too much money, we would have to we have to pay that credit back to the city. So at that point we usually add that difference on to the sales price.
Is that an affordable housing credit? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, it's
Okay.
yeah, it's not low income housing. They still have to qualify for it. You have to make just to qualify for a loan. You're not buying a low income housing, but it's an affordable housing credit. So we basically, we sell the home for less because the city charges us less to build it.
Okay.
Well, that's,
Look at those there.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is just the Google Street View of the units in
Look very nice.
Montevilla, just as an idea of what this could look like.
Yep.
It's going to be the
Will it
same
look-
general idea with the driveway down the middle and two buildings on either, or a building on either side.
Yeah, that's right. The front facade on ours is a little bit different. I had it redesigned for my the unit I put in St. John's to make it a little bit more attractive. Also because St. John's has some design requirements of their own that we needed to meet. So the fronts will look a little bit different, but the units themselves are very similar.
Right.
Yeah, all private balconies. Everybody has their own balcony and their own little patio out back. Not much, but a little bit.
Do they have AC units?
They will have it. Yeah, they'll all have AC.
Good.
They're nice looking.
Well, thank you for coming on and sharing with us. We
Yeah.
really appreciate being updated here.
We so appreciate you making parking available and
Yeah.
not building some hideous monstrosity square block thing. They're nice looking. So thank you.
I'm sure these will be very appealing to families too, being so close to the schools and stuff. So this is very nice housing for families too.
Yeah, I lived in one. The first set of these I built, I lived in one for a year and a half, and they worked for me and my wife and my little boy. And so I think that they're a good transition for people looking to get out of apartments and have some of their own space and still be somewhat affordable compared to trying to buy a new home right now.
Well, I just put a plug in for the trees as a shade amenity, which now suddenly we're appreciating a whole heck of a lot more after that heat wave. And that there's sort of always been the landscaping beauty aspect, but the actual shading will reduce energy costs. So is whatever you can keep, bravo for that.
Yeah, we will try. It's fortunately the city doesn't give us, the rules on the trees are so stringent. We can't build close to them. They're so, and then if we went down, they charge us a very large amount. So we try to leave everything we can just for cost reasons alone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks a
Ben.
lot for taking the time to show us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Ben.
And once we get started, if anybody has any concerns or anything, I think my email everybody should have. And I live in Mount Tabor. We love the area, we love the park, and we're always try to be friendly with people. So anybody can email me if they have any issues that come up while we're building. So
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Ben.
all right.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Patty, for reaching out to Ben so he realized he was still working on another job. I'm sure time flies.
Yeah.
He had said when I signed him up, he said, I might be on a job site, so I'll see if I can call in. So yeah, very nice. Thank you.
Well, time for comments. If anyone wants to discuss that at all before we move on.
Is there a house there now?
Oh,
Are they
yeah.
tearing
looks
down
like
a house?
Yeah, there is a
Yeah.
house. It's not particularly impressive looking house, although it looked like the city said part of it was at least built in 1890, but it's not any kind of architecturally worthwhile structure that you can see from the street. And there's a detached garage, but they're just, in the front part of the lot, and there's this immense space behind it that's just kind of laying fallow now and it's going to get built on.
Okay.
So
So it's not any kind of historical landmark or anything.
It's a
No.
perfect example of a transit corridor buildable, developable lot. When you go by it and you just think this this can't last.
Yeah.
So somebody, I
Right
mean,
for
when they
redevelopment.
were able to buy it, they really scored in terms of how many homes they can put it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
thank
just-
you.
I'm just sick of all the
There we
building.
go.
I just wish
I
it.
know. I am too.
That's the lot, the little fenced off area.
I think it-
No, it goes deep.
No, it's
way
it's,
behind
it.
to the left.
Is that the house right there?
No,
That,
that
that house is nice. I think.
that
I
house
know.
is staying.
It's
That
this
house
one.
is nice.
This kind of, you see the car and there's that's what we're talking about.
There you go.
It's got that detached garage and then there's a house back there that you can see part of it from the street.
Oh, that's nice. Kind of nestled in there.
Yeah, but then look how,
But
look at
all that green space.
Oh
Wow.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
it's huge.
That is
And
it.
all the-
How did that happen?
Well,
Is
it's
it a
'cause
double lot or is it a single?
Old.
no, that block, that's a double block. So there's a street missing. And so, you know, in many cases you'd have a street down the middle of that, but that doesn't. And so it's just weird. You look on Portland maps and you can see things like that in various places.
Right.
That's one of them.
Random.
But that's some really nice set of trees. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Oh, yeah.
Steph.
No.
Yeah.
It'll
nice
be
big trees.
painful. I'm sure they're going to take them down, but what they have to pay is not enough
Yeah.
of a disincentive, really.
It'll
Mhm.
be it'll be a painful piece for the neighbors that are over there on Davis Street.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
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 I think it's a fair trade-off to get 20 families in there
Oh,
potentially.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a lot of these old lots were probably, zoned that way back in the streetcar days of the, late 19th century. And, that's what it may have been a house that was there before they zoned the rest of the lots around it, might explain why it's such a big lot.
And well, you notice that there's no 64th Avenue there. There's goes from 63rd to 65th. So basically,
Right.
That's why it's such a big block that it's sitting on.
They may have thought that it would be too difficult to get into the middle of the block. So there was just this one large lot.
Well, the block behind it, there's no place to put 64th in the next block either.
Well, it's
So-
wide, but if you look, those people have backyards that are like, their lots are like 150 feet deep.
Yeah,
Huge.
as well they should be.
Yeah, look at 226 and 225 up there. Look how deep those lots are.
Oh, yeah.
But if you look,
Yeah, those
Oh, all
those are
through.
mighty deep lots.
6401 was built in the 1800s.
Yeah.
1890.
So, yeah.
It was there before the
For
zoning.
the street.
Yeah, before the street. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it looks like it's going to be nice looking. I'm sad about the trees, definitely, but like CJ said, you put 20.
Yeah,
Like
that
them.
curved part right there for pulling out on into the traffic is a little bit of a challenge because there's like that little bit of a dog leg there by
Yeah, it is tricky.
so that for the people going in and out of there, that many people, that is a little it's tough to get out there at certain times of day. So that's going to be a little challenging for them, but
Well, they should at least have an easy time turning right. Left might be a little bit harder.
yeah.
And maybe people will actually slow down on that doggone street because they come up there to the top at the light and they jam around you and they start screaming down that street.
Mhm.
So maybe they'll, really take heed and do the 30 mile an hour
Well,
that they're supposed to.
it's also a confusing area because you've got all the parking lane that is sometimes a real lane.
Right.
And it's a little bit, I'm sure most of us drive through there pretty regularly coming off of Thorburn. And it's always a little unclear whether you can actually drive in the right lane or not.
Well, it's 7 to 9. You can't park on the north side of Burnside, and 4 to 6 on the south side.
Right.
Although that's going to change because they're going to put Burnside down to 2 lanes and take the
Ooh.
parking. Yeah,
What?
yeah. You haven't seen that, Lisa? It's all in the big plan.
I see chalk
The bike-
marks
The
in the
bike
street
plan.
in front of my apartments. And I just saw them the other day and I was like, what the hell's that about? So
That's probably something else because I think this bike lane project is probably a little bit down the road, but that bike lane is going to happen. It's going to come right up from Burnside. As you remember, you come from 82nd, it's 2 lane. There's a big bike lane on both sides of the street. They're going to continue that all the way to town. That's
Oh.
Patty, when did
Oh.
you see all this?
that's been it when well, actually back in the Terry days.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was proposed, but got put way down on the project list, way, way,
down
way.
on-
It was
it's
nobody
down on the-
else's priority besides Terry.
It's down on the project list, but I do believe it's still on there. You'd have to go to the land use meetings and check it out. But as far as I know, it hasn't been
Well,
nixed.
before we get all worked up about it, I haven't heard a peep about it. So
Okay.
when they make those projects lists, if you're not at the very top and advocating for it constantly,
Exactly.
yeah. So I think
Exactly.
that all the effort right now is on division and getting the long bus thing in. Divisions
Right.
and Powell, they're getting a lot more attention. Everything east of 82nd
It-
is of much more concern.
Yeah.
Well, I moved that, and I think, am I allowed to move things? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Or I entertain the motion of perhaps tabling the discussion about the Burnside development and for next meeting, because I really would like to talk and learn more
No.
about it. I'm right there on Burnside as well.
Yeah,
Wait,
no,
we
you
just
don't
did
need-
that.
You don't need to make a motion. You're running the meeting, so.
Wait a second, wait.
So we're
We
moving on.
just had that discussion.
Yep.
Uh,
I mean, the addition, the bike lanes and all that I don't know about.
Well, somebody will have to research it, but I don't think,
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I mean, and that's why it's next meeting.
So that's on a PBOT, on the PBOT site, right?
well,
Any
somebody's,
future project?
yeah.
I'm happy to look into it. I just got done looking into all the downtown park block stuff, so I'm pretty up on all the PDFs about park development and PBOT and this and that. So I'll look into it.
Nice, thanks, CJ.
Patty, what, you have a headline, Patty?
Well, if I can get in, yeah.
What
Can
does it
anybody
say?
see this?
I see your phone. Green
Up,
bike
up.
lane. Oh, okay.
I don't know, all I see is
There.
Lisa right now. So this is on bikeportland.org and it was 2 weeks ago. Greenway and bike lanes coming to 60th Avenue corridor.
Yeah, that's the
So it might
60th.
be the one that's the north and south one,
It is,
um,
yeah.
but this one says improvements Northeast Davis to yeah. So anyway, you could probably get linked in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'll bring that to the next meeting.
I will say, just to follow up on the park blocks, the city council meeting, you can listen to it now online, but it was resoundly pushed back on.
Mhm.
All the testimony was raised many objections. So I think that it's tabled, although I've seen 2 different reports about that.
That's
Oh, yeah,
that's
it's a
the
whole-
project that would have cut down all the trees, right?
Well,
Well,
Or
it's
some of
more
it.
complicated than that, but that is partially they are going to take down some of the old elms.
Well, they're sick.
I mean, if we're going to get into the conversation, a lot of them are dead and dying and have been for many years, but that's a whole other thing.
yeah. It's a little how well you read the report, how well it's represented, but it is still basically going from 2 columns of trees on each side of the park blocks to 1. So it would end up with a net fewer trees over
But-
time.
But more plants. It's a real thing. But again, we could also, if people are interested, it's not our neighborhood, but we can also have time for that. It is Portland, and people are very
Nice
concerned.
if Be nice if they replant trees when they take them down rather
Oh,
than just.
they're
plant.
planning. Yeah, they're planning to replant many trees that are not American elms, but are native or adaptive. But but have similar features to elms, like similar shape and structure. But again, that's maybe for the next meeting.
Well, it's not on the agenda, but I can give a Southeast Uplift a mini report if you want.
Sure.
Well, I wasn't able to go to the July meeting because they changed the date to conflict, but I am on the board development committee, and we only had 3 applications for the board. I think partly because the board has been going through a lot of upheaval lately. But all 3 were approved, and they seem like there's some sharp younger people there, and so they'll become there at large. And one was an organization for this group called Inner Southeast Action, IC. The other interesting thing is they're looking for this new executive director, but they've been working with a consultant to help find the person. And as they described the dynamics and challenges of running an organization with such a high board turnover, they, and with the working with the board being so different than working with the staff, the consultant has proposed a shared leadership model that would have an executive director that mostly works with staff and a strategic consultant who would be a sort of facilitator guide to work with board members. That would be paid for like a 18-month contract at, pretty high rates, honestly. So that basic proposal got a thumbs up, but there's only like 9 people at the meeting. So I'll find out more about it at the financial committee next week. It's a really different model, and I think it's just because there's been a lot of challenges working with the board by Zoom and with a mixture of NA reps, at-large people, community reps. It's just a very unusual board. Anyway, that was the last meeting for a while. August is off. Next meeting is in September. And hopefully they'll be well on their way to, getting a new executive director. So it's a little bit of chilling out time at the moment. But I could bring up the other item at this point, or do you want to about my need to step down?
I mean, it makes sense here, but also I wanted to give Jules a chance and Keith for our communications update.
Well, Keith did give that. We did a bunch of stuff while you were frozen.
Oh, okay.
And Craig kind of jumped in.
Jules, do you have anything else for communications?
Let's see. I appreciate the help with the newsletter this last month. I think was it Kim who supplied the map of the little libraries. I am, like with my new job, it's pretty taxing, so I don't have a whole lot of time in terms of research. So I would love it if you guys have ideas, if you can provide a little bit more detail around those ideas, so I can pull it pretty quickly and reference it pretty quickly to get it into a format that I can, get out real quick. So in terms of timeline for next month, our meeting is going to be on the 17th. Is that correct? Or will it be on the 10th?
On the 17th.
On the 17th.
Yes.
So yeah, so if you guys can kind of submit your ideas by that first week in August with the drop dead of the 6th, then I can be able to get that turned around. But again, just provide context for like links and ideas and specifics around those ideas. So it makes it easier for me. Would love some too, like I'm wondering with the agendas and stuff coming out, if there's any additional materials that we have, if there's a way to supply those materials earlier than later. Again, like it was really cool to be able to have that agenda so I could kind of elevate the agenda items. But if we have like any, like, I don't know, like reference materials or links to those items, I think that would be really cool. there's something to think about for our next agenda, so we can highlight more of the meeting contents in the email.
Sure. I mean, I usually have, it's on the Google Drive. I usually have the agenda on there in a tentatively like a month beforehand. And then I will try to get it to people at least 2 weeks before the meeting to get, worked out.
Yeah, so I don't know what's coming up for next month. But I know we kind of have a few things kind of up in the air. So if there's like, again, just like reference materials or links that are associated with those agenda items, that would be really nice.
Sure. Well, next week, I sent out an email about it, but Kylie Euthis from Transition Projects will be presenting at 7. And if you're not included in that email that I sent out, I'll forward it to you.
Okay.
Jules, did you get a link that I sent that came from Southeast Uplift that had a lot of really interesting articles in it that I thought we might want to put in our newsletter? I sent it, it's been 3-4 weeks ago. I think I might have sent it to the board because I just don't have your own personal.
Yeah, I've been getting, it's quite possibly I did. But again, it's like, I think one, like, here's an idea. And like within that, there was a bunch of them. So it was hard for me to like, oh.
Which one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Gotcha.
So just try to be specific when you can, when you have those ideas, that helps me out.
Well, all of them were very interesting.
Yeah.
So that's why I sent them, they were all things that applied. So, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so that would be helpful. And then again, I guess if we could talk a little bit more about what we want to get after these meetings for those newsletters, that would also help too, because I feel like I'm kind of just like pulling it all together at the last minute. So it'd be nice if we had a little bit more forethought into those.
Do we know if how many people are reading the newsletter? Any info on number of hits?
I haven't looked at the one that we sent out last week, but the open rate for the last one was really good. I want to say like it was over 60%, which is pretty great. The click-throughs weren't astounding. I want to say they were a little bit lower than the week before last, but I want to say it was like still 7%, which is, respectable. I would like every link feature to be clicked, but typically one thing will stand out more than the other. So people are opening, which is good, which is what we want, and people are taking the time to review the material. And we've seen some steady subscriptions going up again, but I think again, I think we need to work on creating more awareness around the newsletter. So I guess that's on me to get those links out into social quicker. But I think it also would be real helpful to have, again, we had talked earlier, Kevin, about having a kind of a landing page sign up. So it's a little bit more sexy to get people to fill out their information. I think that would really be helpful. And I think the other thing too, that I think we would love to do is we can feature those newsletters on the site. So figuring out a way to do that would be great. So people can reference them when they come to the site, like, oh, these are the past ones, and be able to click through there and share those.
Thank you.
And we have 2 new people tonight. I'm not sure how we could find out if they're on the email list or how they found out about us or something like that would be kind of cool.
We're talking to you. Is that Sheila and Jim?
I think that's yeah.
Hi, yeah, this is Sheila. So my sister is actually a longtime resident of North Tabor. That's how I found out about this. And I'd be more than happy to sign up for a newsletter. I assume I can do that on the website. So I'd be more than happy to do that. But yeah, it's not real hard to figure out my connection. It's just a relative.
Yeah, if you just go to northtabor.org in your web browser, and the newsletter sign up is on the right side of the page.
Perfect. I'll do that. Thank you, Kevin. Keith, I'm sorry.
Awesome. Well, if there's no more communication updates, Stephanie, you're about to talk about the Southeast Uplift situation.
Yeah, I've been the Southeast Uplift rep for, I don't know, it's at least 2 years, but I kind of think it's 3 years. Maybe somebody else can help me with that. And I recently joined another board of directors, which is a huge responsibility, and because it's on a university. So I just kind of came to the conclusion I better not try to do both things going into the fall. I'm happy to stay on the North Tabor Neighborhood Association board here, because these meetings are good, and it's fun now with our new chairs, keeping things rolling along. But I think it's time to pass the baton on Southeast Uplift. It's going through a lot of changes right now, when getting a new ED on, a lot of staff changes. So it's a little bit like kind of go along for the ride until things stabilize. But it wouldn't mean doing anything until September. And then it's, it'd be up to you whether you want to join any of the committees, which is really where more interesting work happens. The Finance Committee has been really very rewarding, very stabilizing, learning about the budgets and making good recommendations. And the Board Development Committee I've been on is to find new members and to try and do more training. And I forget what the other committees are, but I think that's the direction they're trying to go, to encourage more people to be involved at that level. But it's really important that all the neighborhood associations actually have reps there, because there's so much interest in representing other kinds of organizations through Southeast Uplift. So they're expecting to go back into the building and do stuff in person in the fall, and that will make it so much more interesting, and you can make new friends and actually feel that like the organization exists. So I'm kind of making a pitch for this, and also kind of giving my notice at this point. Even though we don't have our elections till October, it would make more sense to start with the Southeast Uplift calendar in September, if somebody can become enthusiastic about this idea. So I first asked CJ or Greg, and of course, being talented and brilliant, they're already very engaged in similar kinds of other boards. So I think it would probably make sense if it's somebody who's had some experience from our board, but it doesn't have to be. You can learn like everybody else. So questions or thoughts or comments from anybody about that, or anybody who wants to volunteer or think about it?
I don't know, you've done an amazing job, and you are always a fountain of information. So thank you for all you've done.
Thanks, Lisa.
Absolutely. No, you're amazing.
Yeah,
And
I think
no,
if
I'm
you're
not volunteering.
no, if you're interested in what's going on in Portland, and you have any kind of a kind of what should I say, appetite for gossip, it's pretty good. No, I'm kind of just kidding, but it sort of, it takes all stripes, and you get to meet people who've got a lot of different priorities and agenda items and personalities and neighborhoods, and it's a little slice of life from Portland.
Yeah, that's fun. Good for you.
I honestly would love to. I just do not have the bandwidth anymore to be able to do that.
Yeah, you'd be
but
great, Jules.
I would really love to do that.
You have to wait till you graduate out your kids.
It's getting close. Well, not really, but.
Jules, we need to get your mother-in-law over here. She'd be a fountain of.
I know.
Maybe I'll go down and put the pressure on her.
You should.
See if that works.
Well, I don't see anybody leaping, so we may have to put our heads together. That not every board member is here at the moment.
Yeah, but the ask is out that we will be requiring a Southeast Uplift liaison, and it sounds like you said there's not another Southeast Uplift meeting till September.
Yeah.
So we can we'll bring it up again. People can think about it, and we'll bring it up again at the next meeting. And we'll have, at the very least, we'll have someone temporary next meeting, and then hopefully we'll get somebody more permanent after that.
Another possible, what, Suzanne? Yeah.
Oops. I was just going to say, could that go in the newsletter? Asking that?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, I
Do you
have
have to, do you have to
that.
be a, oh, sorry. Do you have to be a a current neighborhood board member to be part of the Southeast Uplift though? Is that a requirement or no? Is it anybody?
I don't think so. I think you just need to be able to report to the board and
Okay.
communicate. I was going to say one other model, at least one neighborhood, I think Richmond has the rep and an alternate that the board has voted in. And that way always somebody can go a little, that's sort of like what we're doing with the LUTC now, right? Between Lisa and Lars. That might be easier.
So the meetings are monthly, right?
They're monthly on usually the first Monday evening. They've been 7 to 9 the first Monday.
All right.
So Southeast Uplift is first Monday. Land use and transportation is third Monday.
Mhm.
But I think they're changing that to Wednesdays. I don't know. The calendar got it was very confusing for a while there. I mean, with all the changes and stuff, and Leah was trying to
Mhm.
coordinate so many things, and I think some of the meetings got crossed over, and then our meeting, of course, is on the third Tuesday. So there's so many meetings. I don't know. I've been trying to jump in on the bicycle committee and the Northwest Neighborhood Association committee meetings. And those are different too, but there's so much going on everywhere, and it's very exhausting. So sometimes you just don't want to jump in. So
well, this will be the year to watch what Commissioner Hardesty does with the Office of Civic and Community Life. She's resting her brain for the entire month of August, apparently, and taking a fairly long break for a city commissioner. But she's got her interim person in place, and Montoya, I think, and trying to figure out what to do. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for neighborhood associations to speak up and make sure that, I mean, unless we get a new form of city government, this is the only way we represent the city geographically, even if it's inadequate. It's all there is.
Yeah.
Well, I have a few people that come to mind that are in the neighborhood, like Megan Pickrell over kind of across from QFC, and I'll think about it too. I mean, it's something I've been curious about, so I'll put some feelers out with some folks in the area, and then I'll also consider it as well, because again, like I'm kind of new job-ish, so I'm trying to get kind of level set there, and hopefully I'll get kind of better sea legs. And I think once Sailor goes back to school too, I feel like things might open up a little bit. So
I will say that since the question came up about if you need to be a neighborhood association board member, traditionally the rep has been a board member. Since you have to go to the board meetings to give your report anyway, you might as well be a board member, and then you'll be able to vote on things. So there may not be a prohibition against somebody not being a board member who's the rep to Southeast Uplift, but it only makes sense to have board members. Fortunately, we can access new board members anytime. We've done it this year. It just takes a vote, and then the next meeting they're a board member. So
That's right. Well, thank you. And we'll come back to this next month. I think it is a great idea to get in the newsletter. And the next thing we had was about, a variety of things about clean neighborhoods. But specifically, there was a mention of a clean neighborhood sponsorships pilot. Does someone have more information on that? I saw the email, but I kind of lost it.
I don't have anything specific to say about it. I think I probably saw as much of the email or the notice as you did. We used to have, the neighborhood cleanups, which were fundraisers. Those are gone probably forever. From what I saw, this is not a fundraiser, although you get a grant, but it's to do what you need to do to do the cleanup. You don't end up with any money in your treasury left over. And I think that there was some zones. We were in one of the yellow zones that is an area that is a target zone for these grants. But frankly, I didn't look into it any more than that. And I'm not quite sure where Leah had mentioned it as something, it's not a neighborhood cleanup, but it's kind of the next generation of somehow cleaning up your neighborhood. But I really don't have anything specific to add, I'm afraid.
Well, thank you. That reminded me of the whole yellow zone part of the email. And did someone mention a specific part of North Tabor that had an accumulation of trash that needed to be dealt with? I don't see any during my regular bike rides, but does somebody know of a place?
I don't know of any place. There may be something kind of under the freeway on-ramp there on 58th, but it's not something that you'd ever notice. So yeah, I don't know why we got on the yellow zone, but apparently we are. We're eligible to apply for the grant, I suppose.
I don't know of anything either. I know there was a lot accumulating under the on ramp, like in the part of the tunnel on the on ramp from 58th on, the 58th on ramp under westbound 84. But that was, I think they must have come along with a street sweeper and swept that up, but that would be ODOT property anyway. I know that you get a little bit of litter along 60th and along Gleason, particularly in the vicinity, particularly between 60th and the MAX station, but it's usually not, it's something that somebody could, walk around with a bucket and a grabber and pick it up in an hour. It's usually not a huge amount. It's not like there's a giant piles of trash there.
I think there was a concern over by the nursery, right, on Stark, which is technically just right outside our boundaries, right?
It got cleaned up. Yeah, I think Portland Nursery came and cleaned all that up.
Okay.
I do know there can be quite a collection at the school underneath the overhang on the far side. There tends to be a collection over there, as well as on the corner and behind QFC. There tends to get some pile up from time to time.
So it sounds like Mount Tabor is
What school?
The middle school.
Glencoe,
No,
Glencoe.
the junior high.
Glencoe or the middle school?
The middle
I
school.
think Jules talking about Mount Tabor Middle School.
And of course, that is in Mount Tabor Neighborhood District, but we could still take care of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't think they turn us away. Are we, I wonder if we're allowed, are we able to accept grants that reflect cleaning up the neighborhood next to ours? I don't know how all that works.
I don't know. If they're not in the yellow zone, then maybe not.
Okay. Well, it's something for us to reflect on. I don't see a lot on during my day-to-day, but if we do see a place that could use some cleaning, we can always bring it here to the meeting and organize something around it. And it looks like now there's potential for mild funding to do so.
I know there's typically Glencoe has a cleanup when it comes to back to school time. So, I mean, that wouldn't fall within these parameters, but I think maybe, again, just thinking for a newsletter, maybe we should do a shout out if they're going to be doing that this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Mount Tabor has their own neighborhood association, I'm assuming.
Sure. Yeah, that's a big one.
Oh, okay. I should, one of us, I'm sure one of us has already attended one of theirs at some point, but.
Well, Patty normally used to go to their meetings regularly in person. And then I think she's probably zoomed in on ones more recently too. Yeah, they're the ones that we collaborated with the cleanups in the past. We did it all at the middle school there. So yeah, pre-pandemic, we were in pretty tight with Mount Tabor.
And their mailing list is worth signing up for if you haven't already, because they do have quite a lot of information. They do a newsletter similar to what we're doing, and they've been doing it for a lot longer. They usually have a pretty good amount of information on there.
Thanks. I'll definitely get set up with that. Well, is there any additional business people would like to introduce?
Wait, did we talk about the solve?
Oh
Is
yeah,
that the-
that kind of within the, yeah, let's talk about solve if there's any additional info that wasn't covered by the other trash combo.
Okay.
So I think where we left that last was just looking at if we wanted to just have a, neighborhood kind of trash pickup event that we could, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel on getting, word out and getting and organizing volunteers and all that stuff, would be that we would just, someone would just have to create an event on the Solve website, because they already have everything all set up to manage that. I don't know a whole lot about it other than that.
I thought they did their
Participated
stuff
in their
on
events.
certain key days. Is that not true? Like targeted days?
They do tend to do things around either like Earth Day, or they'll do park and beach type of cleanups will happen around, was it National Public Lands Day in September or something like that. I think that's just kind of a, that's just kind of when there's momentum to do more events. I think people can organize things pretty much anytime. But I don't,
I thought they had,
To solve is that pre-pandemic, and they had regularly scheduled lots of cleanups, Tryon Creek, or something on the Sandy. They had specific things, and they were pretty well organized by Solve, and then you signed up as a volunteer. Of course, during the pandemic, a lot of that kind of slowed down, and I think what they have now, and I'm kind of guessing at this, is you can create your own event. They still have their own events, but not as many at the present time. But your organization can, working with them, propose an event, and if it fits into their schedule or their abilities, then they'll, I guess, put you on the website or whatever they do to support you. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm looking at their website right now, and for instance, on 7/21, which is what, yes, tomorrow?
Yeah.
They have one at Pioneer Square, they have one at downtown at the Benson, they have one at the waterfront, 405 cleanup, and the multi-use path, where's that? Oh, Lentz, and then a leadership training. So they have these every week, and I think a lot of these are weekly, these that I just read off, because I know they just had one last week around Pioneer Square. So they have a lot of them organized, and you could just click on it, and then it tells you if there's any spots available. So that's it, solved.
Yeah, if you go to their website and click into some of their calendar items, you'll see that there are like neighborhood associations sponsoring these events. So, if we wanted to pick a date in the fall and become, get on Solve's calendar and sponsor an event, that sounds like something we could, promote through the newsletter and whatnot.
It would be it would be really cool to clean up along the railroad tracks, so when people are coming from the airport in, but I don't really know that we can do that,
You cannot get access to the railroad tracks unless you go through Omaha, and it'll take an act of Congress. The railroad doesn't want anybody near those tracks.
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah.
but it's a mess. You're right.
Well, how about cleaning up the Max station? It's not too bad, but
Yeah, that might be
Pretty bad.
yeah.
well, most of the trash that's on the Max station is on the tracks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that there's probably TriMet. TriMet would need to be involved. We're not going to let us go on the tracks when there's a train coming every 5 minutes.
No.
well, maybe there's a way we can collaborate with Mount Tabor Neighborhood Association as it comes to the fall and try to figure out kind of like a tentpole event where if it's around the school cleanup or if there's something happening in terms of like, I'm sure there's got to be some kind of like back to school type of activities that both of our neighborhood associations could potentially organize around. And maybe there would be kind of see what would be a good kind of syncopation in terms of effort and involvement. If we are able to identify areas that need work, I think, and maybe that is and maybe it's even considering like the Laurelhurst Neighborhood Association too. I know, the park continues to be kind of an issue for them. But maybe it's worth, do we have contacts at both of those associations?
We do for Mount Tabor for sure. And actually, I have a lot of their safety equipment from the old cleanups that's under my deck still. So if anybody does contact them, tell them they need to come get this stuff. But maybe they're already doing a cleanup and maybe we can kind of just join with them. I mean, the school, that's our kids go to the same schools. So something around the school would be totally appropriate. So. Do they have their meeting tomorrow? I think their meeting is normally the day after ours. So they'll have a Zoom meeting. Somebody could Zoom in.
Be a guest.
And Suzanne, do you think the pocket needs help down there with cleanup?
Actually looking pretty good.
Okay.
So, I agree with CJ, just like out on my walks, things are really looking pretty good. Even up there, sometimes there's a challenge there on the off ramp by JGH, and it's relatively cleared up too. And then the other spot is kind of right at Oregon and 60th, that sometimes things kind of build up right there, and that's looking pretty good too. So I think people have just kind of stayed on top of it, and I really do think people are spending more time at home still. And so I think everybody's picking up around their areas. So it doesn't seem to be a problem over here right now.
And I think with over the last year, so few people riding the Max and the buses, that there hasn't been just quite as much foot traffic along 60th as there used to be. And maybe there's just less, less people means less litter that gets dropped.
Okay. Are there any additional things people would like to bring up before we adjourn?
Nope.
Okay, well, I need to log off as well, Suzanne, so thank you. And thank you to Sheila and then Jim, who was here earlier. Always good to have new folks. Sheila, you're still here. You made it to the end. Thank you.
Yay, Sheila.
Yay, Sheila. And
Welcome to the
Oh,
neighborhood.
thanks, guys.
No, thank you for hanging in.
And yes, I think it was mentioned earlier, the next one's what, August 17th? Same time, same place, 6:30 over Zoom, same link.
Okay.
All right, Keith.
CJ, just a small request. When you send out that agenda to us, could you put the Zoom link in it? Because I'm
Oh,
always
smart.
digging around to find it, and that would save a bunch of extra steps.
I know I had to have Keith send me the link
Yeah.
because I lost it.
I'll put it in
Well,
big
Keith,
font.
thank you for having it on the website, because I just like, boom,
Yeah.
to the website. It's right there.
Yeah.
It's always on the website, and I was like, duh. I
Just a
didn't-
reminder, yeah, it's always on the website and the link is the same every month.
Yeah.
So
It's the word Zoom, and I kept looking for an actual, URL and didn't see it. So my bad. But anyway, nice to have it on the agenda.
It'll be in future agendas. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Have a
Good to see everyone.
good
Thank you,
July.
CJ. Great job.
Bye. I'll see you real soon.
Bye.
Okay. Stay safe, everyone.